Welcome back to another episode of Candid Conversations with Valencia Danielle. I am your host, of course, Valencia Danielle. So thank you so much for tuning into part 2 of Candid Conversations, currently healing. So before we get started, do me a favor and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channels. You will see them on the screen. Also, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Just make sure you follow me so you can stay connected. Okay. And I am excited. Thank you to all of those that viewed episode 1. We are so excited. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go back and watch it. If you need to watch it again, make sure you go watch it again. I'm so excited for what God is doing through me and for me. And so I would love for you to tune in. So make sure you subscribe today. Okay, now let's get into it. Episode 2, part 2 rather, of Candid Conversations with Valencia Danielle, currently healing. So I watched it about 3 times, and I was just so excited. I'm so excited that I am speaking my truth the way that God gives it to me. Sometimes it can be a little bit challenging because you want to make sure that you get the message that God has given you across the right way. And at the same time, making sure you're true to yourself. And so hopefully that was delivered. Hopefully something that I said resonated with you. And I'm so glad to see you again. So in the last episode, I was talking about healing and just talking about my journey and how God redeemed me, right? And I'm still going through that healing process, this week. Well, it's just, it's the beginning of the week, but over the last week, as from the last time that I was in the studio, just had some, anytime you encourage someone else, it seems like there's attacks that come, or spiritual warfare that you have to go through, and you have to overcome it. You have to get past it, get through it. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge, and I know and a lot of times when I'm encouraging other people, things come, like if I'm encouraging you to stay strong and stay motivated, and I know lonely times will come, but you can make it. And then later on in the week, I'm like, Lord, I'm so lonely. Where my man at? Where is this at? What is going on? You know what I'm saying? I got needs. Hallelujah. And so I'm just like, Lord, why do you have me on this assignment to minister or to help someone else? And I'm currently I'm trying to stay, encouraged, and I believe it's because He wants me to be transparent and in the moment that I'm in, He wants me to speak it out to help someone else because I'm currently in it, right? And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, because this is currently one of the challenges that I go back and forth or struggle with, is obedience. And obedience is what got me to the place that I'm in now as far as being redeemed. Because like I said in my last episode, I had to be obedient and cut off the sex. I had to be obedient and cut off the smoking, right? And there are other little things that God wanted me to do as far as when it comes to my personal business, when it comes to my career, when it comes to ministry, that He wants me to do. And even let's even get real personal when it comes to what I eat, what my intake is, just those small things. We don't even, want to be obedient in that. Like one of the things that God has been telling me to do, for those of you that don't know, I do have vitiligo, and with the white spots, and I have it around my eyes and my mouth, but I, wear makeup to cover it up. And one of the things that God has told me to get rid of or stop eating a specific thing, and I just haven't done it, right? And I'm like, I don't understand why I can't just not stop eating this thing. And you told me, Lord, that if I do it, I would be healed. Now, vitiligo is something that it's not curable, says the doctors, but I know people that have been cured, or I've seen testimonies of those that have been cured. But God told me I was diagnosed with vitiligo in 2019 officially. And that day I was just crying and I'm like, God, why would you do this to me? I like being chocolate. I didn't have no problem with it. Why did this happen to me? Why do I have to go through this? Right. And, God told me that day, if I would stop doing a certain thing, that he would heal me. I would see the healing. And it sounded easy until it was a certain food. And I'm like, until it came to that point where it's like, oh, I can't let it go, And so, I just kept on struggling with it. And then just last week, I was sitting on my sofa, and I was getting ready for bed. And before I went to bed, I started to, take off my makeup, right? And wash my face and do all of that. Now I go through this routine every night, but on this particular night, when I took my makeup off, I can see the vitiligo start to spread, right? And so I was very frustrated. I just started busting out crying because I'm like, who gonna want me looking like this? And, Lord, why would you make me look like this? I already struggling with everything else in my life. You know what I'm saying? Why this? Right. And he just stopped me in the middle of that and like, have you been obedient? Did you do what I said do to be able to see the result that you want to see? And it's so simple, yet so hard to me because I want to still eat those certain foods and, do what I want to do. But I thought, because I'm still, because for this I had to take vitamin D and, because my vitamin D is very low. So I figured if I'm taking my vitamins and I'm doing what I have to do on that end, even though I have the vitiligo, it won't continue to spread because I'm taking what I'm supposed to take. But I was still not being obedient. And I figured, well, God's just telling me this because I said I wanted to be healed from it. But I didn't think it would continue to spread because I already said, Lord, please don't do this to me, right? But he was showing me that I was still being disobedient because this can help me with something even further than what I can recognize or I see right now. Like right now, I'm thinking, oh, it's just vitiligo, but it could be deeper than that. It can be something that is some sickness or something that's trying to form or whatever, or it can prevent something from coming. That's why it's important to walk in obedience because you don't know what it can prevent you from, it's the unknown, right? And so as I'm going through this process, or as I was sitting on the couch and I'm just talking to the Lord, like, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? He was like, it's a stronghold. This is literally a stronghold on your life because it's so hard for you to let this go that it's a stronghold. And I'm like, a stronghold? Why would it be a stronghold? Because I feel like, strongholds is different. Like I was looking at it from a different perspective. I'm like, I could just stop. It's just like, I just like this certain food. So I just want to keep eating it. No, it's literally a stronghold, something that's hard for you to let go. And it's taking over you like this. That is literally a stronghold on your life. And so I was like, man, Lord, I didn't see it like that. Like it literally is like, I'm choosing to continue to go down this path and do this thing over what you told me to do. That's not what God wants from me. And so I'm like, this is why I'm not seeing a change. And this is why even me putting on the makeup and stuff, it was taking longer to do than normal because it started to spread. So I have to do more layers and all of that is like, it's exposing me now. The disobedience will expose you, right? And so in that, I'm noticing that in my disobedience, it's more exposing now because I'm trying to cover something that if I just listened to God, it would no longer be, right? And so I believe a part of me did not believe I can be healed. So it's like, let me continue to do what I do because doctors say this is impossible or people say that it's impossible. But I have to understand and remember what God said, right? And I can't forget what God told me. And so a part of this healing journey for me, whether it's internal, spiritually, is all about, and it starts with me obeying God and what he wants me to do in my life. And I believe that once I had that conversation on the couch and once I recognized that, I'm like, Lord, you are right. And then not only that, I put something on television and I was watching television, and God will just reconfirm and confirm things for you just so you know you hear it right. And I put on the TV on YouTube, and someone came on the YouTube, and the first thing they said is, make a decision. You need to be obedient. And I'm like, okay, great, God, I hear you, right? And so I just thank God for that obedience. I thank God for that reminder. It is not easy, to obey. A lot of times people want to eliminate that and say, just do what God said do. But sometimes it's not easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. It's just like you have to relinquish that control. And see, I like to be, in control of things. I like to know what's going to be so that I can prepare. And God has me in a season where he just wants me to do. And so he doesn't give me all the details. He'll just give me one assignment and say, do this, do that. So it doesn't give me every play by play, and I just have to do it. Right. And so I'm just on a mission to obey. And in this season, I know that obedience is actually shifting and working things in my favor, right? And so obedience was a big part of my redemption, like I said earlier. And I want to continue to walk in that no matter how hard or how difficult it may be. And another thing that I wanted to mention that I talked about in the first, in part one, is how I'm building, or how I built my relationship with Christ, or how I'm building my relationship with Christ. And that is a struggle also. I noticed again over the last week or so that the less time I spend with him, the less time I spend praying, the less time I spend seeking him, that I do have more battles, and I do have more frustration and more just irritation, because I have not spent time in his presence to get the peace and the joy that I need. And I am depending on friends or family or someone to give me those, fulfill those needs. Yet I know that Christ is the one he is joy, he is peace, he is love. And so I have to not wait or depend on others to fulfill that need, but I know that God always has it for me, and he provides that. And I just have to stay or seek him or get into his presence. And sometimes that can be a challenge when you have things going on, life happens, and you can't really tap in, you know what I'm saying? And so you have to push through. And this is a season for me to push. And I don't understand a lot of things that are going on in my life, or why things are happening the way that they're happening. But I know that it will all make sense in due time. And one of the things is, like, sometimes when you can't see it, it's hard for you to believe it or trust God. But if he said it, it shall be. And don't get distracted by what you don't see, right? Because he's still working. When you don't see something, a lot of times we'll start to say, okay, let me help God out. Let me do this, let me do that, because, this and this is not happening as fast as I would like it to happen. So let me help him out a little bit. Let me just go do this and let's go do that. You know what I mean? If God says don't work, and you're like, well, listen, the account's getting low, I need to do what I got to do. And then you start looking for a job, and all of them is you get rejected after rejection after rejection. And then you're like, why is this happening? But he told you what to do, but you don't trust him. You're not trusting the process. And, trusting the process is not easy, but I know it is worth it. And so, like I said, obedience is important. Trusting God, seeking him is important, and helps me on this healing journey, right? And as important, a relationship with Christ is so important because it builds my confidence, helps me to believe in myself, because I'm spending time with him. So he's showing me myself. He even shows me the qualities that I have. A lot of times people feel like God will point out, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. Yes, he identifies those things that you can improve, but he also lets you know that you are kind, you're loving, you have a great personality, you're beautiful, you're smart. All of those things that the enemy tried to rob from you and tell you that you were not smart, that you were not good enough. A lot of the time, a lot of my struggle had to do with comparing myself, comparing myself to other people's journeys, comparing myself to where I should be compared to others that are in my age group, and a lot of times that messes with me, because I'm like, oh, I should have accomplished this by now. I should have been here by now. I should be this and that. And it stopped me even from doing episodes of Candid Conversations when I was in a place of feeling like, I'm not like this influencer. I don't have the desire to lay down and wake up as if I'm just waking up. You know how they do when they go to sleep and then they wake up and then they like, oh, good morning. I don't have time to do all of that. That's too stressful for me. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to be an influencer. I can't, say, oh, I just went to the grocery store, but set the camera up in the house, then walk in with groceries. Those types of things is not me. I don't have the time or the energy to do that. I like more, not saying that those types of people are not authentic, but for me, I'm more of the in the moment type of person. And then again, I'm not real interactive on social media, because I don't want to get caught up in numbers and who's viewing and who's not viewing, because I'm thinking that's the source to where I need to go to. Right. And that's one of the things I had to check myself on. And I was even talking to my producer about that. I'm like, how am I going to build my audience, and how am I going to be known, and how am I going to, you know what I mean? And God just had to check me on that. Like, I am the source. I will open the door, and sometimes he'll set up things that only he can do. So you would think, I'm thinking, I have to have 1 million views to be noticed, or I have to have 1,000 views to be noticed. You can have one view and that could take you to the White House, to Oprah's house, to whoever's house, to the Potter house. Hello. It could take you anywhere, because if the right person sees you, God will put it in the right hands or to the right eyes. You get what I'm saying? But that doesn't need to be my focus right now, because if I allow who views it, or how many views I get, or who's looking at it, or who's contacting me, or what, if I let that control my mind, or I get too engulfed in that, then I lose what the whole purpose of this assignment is. And the assignment I'm on is to reach people, to encourage them, and to empower and inspire them so that they can go and empower someone else. That's the whole purpose of Candid Conversations. That's the whole purpose of creating it. I created this as an outlet for me to share my story. And it was to share my story in hopes that you can go and share your story with someone and help them to get free from whatever may have them bound. And that was the whole purpose of Candid Conversations. But what happens is we get to a place where we're trying to prove ourselves, and we get caught up in what society says, how many followers we have to have, and what we have to accomplish, and what we have to do in order to see that success level. But I am here to tell you that God is going to do something through me and through this network that has not been seen before. With the views, even with low views or whatever views, God will still allow my voice to be heard where it needs to be heard, because it's all about deliverance for me. It's all about reaching the lost for me. And so I need to come out of what society standards are, and I need to do. And again, it all leads back to being obedient. And I believe that if we walk in obedience, that everything else will align and come together the way it's supposed to come together. And so in all things, I want to do what God wants me to do. And so again, in this healing process, like I mentioned, being obedient, not comparing myself, and trusting God and trusting the process and pushing through, you know what I mean? And so one of the other things that I'm dealing with is the lack thereof of relationships, girl. And I'm like, how you try to psych yourself out and be like, I don't need no dude, I'm straight, God is good all the time. And you try to inspire other women, and you're like, you know what, God is just so good to me, because, all I need is him right now. But listen, when you at home by yourself, I love the Lord. Lord, God knows I do. But it's like, you don't feel that physical touch. You don't have someone just, all up in your face, or, hitting you up. You know what I'm saying? So you be like, Lord, what's going on? And then I start to say, what's wrong with me? Again, comparison. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Candid Conversations with Valencia Danielle. Do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Valencia Danielle. Also, follow me on Instagram at I am Valencia Danielle, and Facebook, Valencia Danielle. I would love to keep in touch with you, okay? So make sure you subscribe and make sure you follow me on social media so we can keep in touch. comparing myself to other people and saying, when you see people that are interesting looking and you be like, and they out here with these people or getting houses and getting cars and getting engaged and having kids and have this awesome career. For one, you don't really know the story behind the picture, so you can't compare yourself. And then for two, if that is what God has for them at that time, you don't know their story. You don't know the journey they had to get those things, right? Just like when someone sees me married and have a child and have a family and a career, if they don't hear these episodes or see my testimony, because I haven't spoken about all my testimony, but if they haven't seen this, they're just seeing the outcome. They don't know the journey or the process, right? So I cannot compare myself to something that I don't know. And so a lot of times we want what someone else has. We say the relationship goals and we say, that's how I want to preach and that's how I want to speak and that's how I want to mentor and that's how I want to do. But do it how God gives it to you, because you can only be you, and who you are is what the world needs, right? If we're all speaking the same, we're all walking the same, we're all talking the same, we're all, doing things and have the same, personality, it's not going to hit right. Right. And so I just need to be secure and be confident in who God created me to be. And when the time is right, everything that's for me will come to me. Right. And so I just want I am encouraging myself during this, that although things may not appear or look like I'm winning right now in certain aspects, or that I don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be or where I would desire to be, I do believe that God is doing something through me. And what he's doing is breaking me down for me to realize that I'm not in control. And I always was the type of person that I like to have control, because then I know what's going to happen. It's like you're controlling the steering wheel. So, if you go like this, you're turning left, you go like this, you're turning right. You know what I'm saying? So when you let go, and it's like you letting go of the wheel and actually trusting that you're going to get to your destination safely, right? Those cars like the Tesla or whatever cars will drive its own, you are trusting that it's going to get you to where you need to get to, right? When you get on a plane, you're trusting that the pilot is going to get you to your destination. You're not going to ask the pilot, can I see your license? Can I see this? Can I see that? How long you been flying planes? How long you been doing this? You're just going to get on the plane. You're going to say hi to the stewardess. You're going to sit back and you're going to what? Enjoy the ride. So it's the same thing in life. Enjoy the ride. Do what God tells you to do. When you get on a plane, you have to sit. You have to put your seatbelt on. You have to do what they say do in order to have a safe arrival, right? You have to do those things. So that is what God is showing me. He's the pilot, right? He's in control. Trust him. He has the experience. He has the track record that he never fails us. He always comes through for us. And that's what I'm banking on. That's what I'm counting on and I'm trusting on. But in the process, like, you can't trust God if you're not obeying. Like I said, if you're not doing what he's asking you to do. And so my goal, even in these coming weeks, is to really hone in on what do you want me to do? And some of you out there may be like, Lord, what is my purpose? What do you want me to do? Like, it's like you have so many ideas. You have so much that you want to accomplish, so much that you want to do. And you're like, God, what is it that you want me to do? And this is why it's important to have relationship with him. We're so focused on having a physical relationship right now, and we don't even know how to interact and have a relationship or communicate with the Father above, right? And so I believe as you build your relationship with him, he will reveal he will show you yourself. And then as he shows you yourself, he can help prepare you for what's to come, whether that's career, business, a relationship, whatever that is. But the main focus right now is to build something with Christ, right? And so that he can direct you into where you need to go. I'm just excited, yet I'm learning through this journey that all things work together for the good, right? And so I am learning not to stress so much, because I have a tendency to overthink, and overthinking just gets me, on the deep end. I can be thinking about dolphins 1 minute, and then the next minute I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, if I would have done this when I was 22, I would be here, there. Like, how did I get to that? How do you get your mind there? And sometimes when we allow allow the enemy to play in our minds and to feed us information, or we allow people to say certain things, or you should be married, or you should be this, or you should have this, it starts playing with your mind, and then you start to doubt where you should be, right? But everything is going according to what it's supposed to be. And even if you messed up along the way, like I have, he redeems us, right? He's going to redeem the time, and you will get back on that path that you're supposed to be on. You just took a different route, but he still brings you back to where you need to be, and he will redeem that time, and things will start to even speed up for you. You know what I mean? And so I'm trusting God. There are things that I even want God to do by the end of this year. However, I've been telling the Lord, like, if it's in your will, if it's your desire for me to have these things, I want it to be so. And I have to believe it and stand on it, because a lot of times we can say things and we can believe it in the beginning, but as time goes on and we don't see it, we start to lose trust, and we start to, say, I don't feel like it's going to happen for me. But I believe God is up to something, and I believe he's working everything out. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm really trusting God, because I don't know what's next for me. I just want to encourage somebody that no matter what it looks like right now, it will get better. Things will get better. It will all come together. It will make sense. Stop comparing yourself to others' journey. Stop trying to be like somebody else. And even me, of like the support, sometimes the lack of support from people that you felt would support you more than anyone. And when they don't, that can hurt you, because it's like, they will support others that have a bigger name brand, or a bigger this and a bigger that. And they've known you for years and years and years, and won't think twice to click on your channel, or won't think twice to share your information, because maybe they feel like, oh, she ain't really hitting on nothing. But that's fine, because you're going to see me on somebody's screen, and you're going to be like, oh, I wish I would have, I wish I would have shared her. I wish I would have supported her. And I'm going to be like, they're going to be like, who? They're going to be like, Valencia, you remember me? I'll be like, who? Because you went to Whoville. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you, no, I can't be like that. But I'm just like, I just don't want that to control me. I don't want what people don't do to control the outcome. Like, I don't want to dwell on that. Right. So I know that everything God is doing is what, is supposed to be going on. And so just stay the course and know that everything, like I said, is working together, and so in healing takes time, but healing doesn't have to take too much time. It depends on what you're giving to it. Do you want to heal? How fast do you want to heal? I struggled a lot with depression. I struggled a lot with lack of confidence. And so God showed me that it was a choice. And so I had to choose to come out of that. I had to choose to have joy, and choose to, despite what I was feeling, to move past it and say, Lord, I'm not going to hold on to these things like the diagnosis of vitiligo, or the lack of what I have, to stop me from doing your will. It is just a minor, is something minor. And I know there are bigger things. I can't allow it to stop me from doing what you want me to do, because that's all the enemy wants. He wants you to stop. And when you stop, things can't happen, or things won't happen for you, because you get stuck. And a lot of times he don't even have to put a tax on you. He could just stop you. And as long as you stop, you're not walking the walk that God wants you to walk. You know what I mean? You're not in that alignment that he wants you to be in. But I'm just grateful for another chance, because I never thought that I would be in this place of redemption and how quickly it's happened, but I know that God has me here for a reason. And I'm hoping that I can encourage someone else to hold on, to not allow doubt and fear and insecurities to hold you back. I no longer want to do that. I am praying and seeking God to just help me to, find my own lane. And yes, it's great to be inspired by other influencers and what they're doing, especially if they're successful. But at the same time, do not lose focus of what God wants you to do for yourself and your business and your career, because you may not be able to do the same things that they did, right? And right now, my sole source is God. Like, I want him to guide me before I speak, even before I do these videos, before I come in the studio, I pray and I ask the Lord to guide my words, because anything I say, anything I do, I want it to be in his will. And so I don't want to be outside of his will, because I don't want to go backwards again. I don't want to get caught up again, And so I just want it to be right. Right. And then one last thing I wanted to talk about was relationships, because that, like I was talking about relationships and how the lack thereof. But one of the things God was dealing with me on when I was going through that, and where I wanted to share, especially with the women out there, is accepting things that, a part of my healing journey too is a lot of times I would get into relationships or situationships because to fulfill a certain need or desire, if you know what I mean. And it will hold you longer than you should be there. And I am noticing, especially when we're seeing all the divorce today and we're seeing all the breakups and all of these things, that's what the enemy wants. But I'm believing God for a kingdom marriage. Do I have any people that are believing God for a kingdom marriage out there? I am believing God for a kingdom marriage, and I'm believing God that he will guide me and lead me. And I do not want to go off of how I feel. A lot of times we get so caught up with, oh, look at it. He know he fine. He know he this. And then we don't even look at his character anymore. We just think about what he could do, how he could do it. And we just forget about all the important things. And so, Lord, my prayer was, Lord, let me know by his spirit, So I want to encourage the women and the men that when someone approaches you, or when you approach someone, recognize or ask God for discernment. Like, is this what you want from me? Because the last thing you want to do is end up in something and it's hard to get out, because what happens is we get comfortable and we get complacent, and then we enjoy that companionship, and so then it's hard to break away. And then what I noticed in past relationships is the longer I stayed, the more it pulled from me, because I used relationships as a way for me it was like an assignment for me. Not saying that the person was an assignment, but I utilized that as a way, as an escape for me not to focus on what God wanted me to do and on my life and on my ministry. So what I would do is, I mostly would connect with men that maybe needed to be built up, that needed to be encouraged, that needed to be poured into. And I was noticing I wasn't getting that same thing in return, because they weren't for me. They didn't know how to encourage me. They were still healing themselves. So you got two broken people, but I'm the one trying to pour, but now I'm pouring from what? There's nothing there, because I don't have anything being poured back into me, because for one, I was outside of the will of the Lord. He already told me not to talk to certain people or not to go that route. But because I chose that route, now I'm in a place where I'm stuck. And now it's hard to break away from them, because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you don't want to do this, or you don't want to do that. But what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to stay in there and continue to die spiritually and continue for someone to take from your spirit? Or are you going to obey God and move forth and allow him to open the doors? Because a lot of us, when we staying in something longer than we should, we're holding up what really is for us, right? And so if you don't want to do that in this season, and you're tired of, delaying what God has for you, I dare you to just obey. I dare you to just seek him. It's okay to have a season where it's just you and God. You don't always have to be with somebody. And so for me, I always felt like I always had to have like a little side, a side piece, you know what I'm saying? I had to have a little something, because in case, I'm having a day, let me call somebody, let me do this. But he has put me in a season where my phone is dry like the Sahara. I'm telling you, I'm like, dang, my brothers can't even call me. Who ain't nobody to call? I'll just call. I'm like, sometimes you got to call and make sure your phone still work. That's the kind of season I feel like I'm in. I'm like, dang, no emails, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I know that he is setting me apart for a reason, because you can't forget the prayers that you prayed. You asked the Lord to keep you, right? I prayed those prayers and I said, Lord, keep me, so if he's keeping me, he's keeping them away. Okay. He is covering me. I asked the Lord to cover me. He's covering me. He's shielding me. So it's like, I don't know if I'm out here in these streets and I look like I got two big bodyguards by me, but it's like, why nobody ain't saying nothing to me? Do I look that bad or whatever? But he is protecting us. A lot of times he's protecting us, especially if he knows what you desire and what you want. Don't get caught up in that, because the enemy will hear your cry of, I want, I need. And then he'll just send a distraction your way. And all that distraction will do is delay you from what really is for you. So I just want to encourage the men and the women that you do not settle. Do not settle. Do not settle. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. And I'm not trying to be churchy, but waiting on him is worth it. Waiting on God and everything that he has for you is worth it. Everything that you need and you want can be yours if you wait on him and do what he says to do. He wants to bless us. He wants to give you the desires of your heart. So many times people tell me, oh, you may have to just settle for this and you may have to do. I do not. I know so many people that have settled and that have, because they were like, I'm about to be a certain age, so I ain't gonna wait on what God, I'm gonna just do this because this works for me right now. I'm not gonna wait on this because I'm about to be this age and I'm about to do this. And I'm just like, at one point that was me. I'm like, shoot, I'm about to be a certain age. I need to get mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, so I started to just like, okay, I'll just accept this and I'll accept that, and I'll accept this. And I'm not saying you have to have this long list and, oh God, if I don't have everything on this list, then whatever. No, I'm saying I want what God has for me, but I also believe that he will give me what I want. And so if I want those things, I believe I can wait on God. And as long as I'm in alignment, he will give that to me. And that's what I want for you. I want you to get everything that the Lord has for you. You have to wait on it. And he's teaching us all patience in this season. It's so much going on in this world, and we have to have patience. We have to be careful with our words, speak life to yourself and not death. I would be so negative and talk down to myself and I'm never going to be anything and I'm not going to ever have nobody. And that's exactly what's been happening. Right. And so I need to speak life, and I need to speak to myself and said, I am an overcomer. I am a wife. I am a mother. I will be able to minister to people. I am a great speaker. You know what I mean? And so mean those things, and even if you may not mean it at first, keep saying it until you believe it, because it shall be. And so I just want to encourage you. I didn't really want to make this episode too long. I just wanted to do a part 2 so that I can just touch on some things. And I probably left out some more things because once the camera starts to roll, it's like my mind goes blank. And so I don't know what I touched on, what I didn't touch on. But hopefully, whatever I spoke about, you got something out of it today. And I'm looking forward to this season, because this season, I want to interview people that may have healed or maybe going through something even in the process of. And people that have reached out to me are currently in the middle of something and they still want to talk about it. And I believe that's what God's doing during this season, because as I'm talking to you, I am still dealing with these things, yet I am being transparent and open about it. And as I'm talking about it, I am healing because I'm putting it out there, and God is helping me through the process. And so those guests I will have will be probably in the middle of what they're dealing with, or even healed from it or healing through it, but they want to share their story so that they can inspire someone else. And so if you are one of those people, definitely the information will be on the screen. Definitely hit me up via email. I'll put that information on the screen. Reach out to me via DM through Facebook or Instagram, because I want to hear from you. I have heard from a couple of people and we are arranging some things, but that is my goal. We all have a story. And if you're willing to share your story and be transparent and be open and honest and vulnerable for a moment to share your story, I believe it will not only bless others, but it will bless you and continue to free you, right? Because we all want to be free. And so I'm just excited for what's to come. I love you guys so much. Thank you for every person that has shared the first Candid Conversations for season 2. Thank you for all of those that have subscribed. Make sure you continue to share, continue to subscribe, continue to support as we make this content, because it's for you. And I believe God is using me for a time such as this. And so I just want to be a blessing to you. You are definitely a blessing to me. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2. And I will see you next time. Remember, you were destined to soar. So go ahead and be fly. Love you.